mean to be, I just want to make sure we did it. That actually, that part of those changes, this board never saw because it got introduced at the planning commission
Oh, that's right.
when it went through the
Okay.
last time. So I don't know how, if there's a
Well-
requirement that we see it or not.
I'll have to check. So we'll either have it on y'all's agenda for February or we'll have it on planning commission.
I just don't want anything to
Yeah.
slip through the cracks.
That's a good point.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, any other announcements? All right, in that case, we'll jump into the action items that we have before us tonight. And the first of these is the Fayard Mini Storage Flagpole Deviation. And it is being brought to us by Mr. Tim Brown.
Yeah, good evening. Happy New Year. Tim Brown with Planning and Development. This is a request by Fayard Mini Storage to allow 3 flagpoles on their property. The code allows for 1. I wasn't aware that we did this previously, but I guess we have, because I know Watercolor, they have 2 flagpoles on 98, on the north side of 98. And I guess there was another project that also came in, got deviation for more than 1 flagpole. He doesn't seem to be here tonight, but the other issue is the types of flags are also regulated. I think he said he was going to do American flag, Florida flag, and a South Walton flag. So I don't see any issues with that. But when you're talking flagpole, you also have to. We also regulate the types of flags as well. So I'll entertain any questions. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. So I have a question, and that had to do with the types of flags. I probably know enough about content and signage ordinances and that type of stuff to be dangerous, but I'm glad to see, I think the way this application is written, it sounds wonderful. It's an American flag, state of Florida's flag, and the beaches of South Walton. A little bit, not really a political entity, but if the applicant were to, in a year, choose to fly different flags, football teams, inappropriate
Corporate.
countries that no longer exist, that sort of thing,
A lot of corporate flags.
they could do that. So, do you, if it's not difficult for you, could you read what the regulations on flags
Yes.
is currently?
I have to find it, but once I find it, yes.
And while you're looking, can I ask a quick question? The Beaches of South Walton flag, what is that specifically referring to?
I don't know that I've ever seen it, actually. I don't know that I know what it looks like.
Is it talking about the TDC's logo, or that's what the TDC calls it, the Beaches of South Walton? I don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, here it is. Flags, spinners, banners, pennants, and inflatable signs or balloons of any type. This is under prohibited signs. Certified nonprofit organizations may be permitted to use flags or banners in conjunction with a special event, provided they are placed no sooner than 2 weeks before the event and removed immediately following the event. The official flags of the United States, state of Florida, or other flags approved by the Design Review Board are accepted, provided that the display of flags shall be limited to not more than 3 flags flying from a single vertical pole no taller than 40 feet. So that's where we get 1. You're allowed 1 flagpole, and you can fly 3 flags on that 1 flagpole. So I guess,
40 feet.
Yes.
I guess,
40.
yeah, 40 feet. Elsewhere it'd be 50. We have a 50-foot height limit, so we limited to flagpoles to 50. Because I've had people ask me, "Can I have a 100-foot flagpole?" No, it can be 50 feet, but in the scenic corridor it's 40 feet. But under this, and I be honest, I didn't check beforehand, but I guess unless you all approve, the Beaches of South Walton is not an approved flag. It says the United States flag, the state of Florida, and any flag that the Design Review Board approves.
Okay.
Typically they're corporate flags. I mean, that's what we've seen in the past.
Can
And
I
I-
ask a question in terms of, does this mean that you can have 9 flags on 3 poles?
I don't think
can
so.
we
Since it says you
restrict-
can
I mean,
have
if we're
3,
gonna-
I think that means, well,
I mean,
I
if
have a
it's
question
saying that,
too.
and I'm just wondering whether
Yeah.
we could restrict, if we're gonna give them 3 flags, then can we restrict the number of flags in each pole?
And Tim, are they asking us only to approve 3 flagpoles and not to approve a Beaches of South Walton flag? Or is that included in the
It's the way it's
request?
written. The description of proposed deviation is add 2 additional flagpoles, a total of 3, 1 American, 1 state of Florida, and 1 Beaches of South Walton,
Okay.
directly in front of the building within the 25-foot landscape buffer. Doesn't specify the height, but we assume it would be within the code.
Yeah, it couldn't exceed the 40 feet.
Yeah.
But I think you would have to, as part of this deviation, you would, as a board, you'd have to approve the South Walton flag on that third
I guess
flagpole.
any issue with content is built into the code with that, as approved by the design review board, which may
That's-
want to be reviewed at some point.
Right,
Don't
that may
please.
want to be, but I guess the issue here, because they're asking for a deviation, you guys can put some conditions on that.
Yeah.
Well,
And we don't
because
see
it's
the
been
flag.
advertised this way,
Well-
we could approve the 2 additional poles without approving the Beaches of South Walton flag.
Yes.
And also because we haven't
I don't think
seen,
I'm
I mean,
comfortable with
they're
that.
not showing us what the flag looks like,
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't
the
even know
beaches
what
of
that
the
flag
South
is.
Walton.
Well, there's a location of deviation site directly in front of building within the 25-foot landscape buffer, and it's a lot of frontage, but, and again, for the audience's benefit, at least from my perspective, so we don't come across like we're laboring over the display of the American flag. That's, our issue is that, and I think I can speak for the others up here, is that while this seems like a very reasonable proposal, we don't have any control over what happens after it's erected, or if someone else shows up and has to fly flags of a different sort, that we could get into some uncharted territory.
Well, it'd be a code enforcement issue.
Yeah.
But if they if we say they can have 3 flagpoles, can they put 3 flags on each pole?
I think you guys, as part of granting the deviation, could put a condition on it that it would only be 1 flag per pole.
Right. That would be really important.
I can make a motion.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, but I think under this language, the answer would be yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I can make a motion my motion is that we deny the 2 flagpoles, the 2 extra flagpoles, since they can put 3 flags on 1 pole, and all they're asking to do is display 3 flags, and that we deny the Beaches of South Walton flag because we don't have an image of what it is.
I guess just to be clear, so the applicant is not present, is that right?
No,
Okay.
I haven't heard, I mean, I thought he would be here, but I haven't heard from him and he's not here.
I'd like to make a different proposal. I'd like to propose that we do authorize 2 flagpoles, one for the state of Florida and one for the American flag, and with the condition that those are the only flags on those 2 poles.
Okay, well,
And-
I think as far as part of parliamentary procedure, I would have to ask the maker of the first motion whether she is willing to withdraw her motion.
No,
Okay.
so
So we need-
it
so
needs
we
to
need to
either be
dispose of it.
seconded or
Right,
died
right,
for lack
okay.
of a second. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll,
Okay,
I'm not quite
gotcha.
sure of the right term, but hang on.
And can I ask a question about this?
Yes, please. Is it about the first motion?
No, it's about
Well, we need to-
general, in
okay,
general.
and I think I'm being proper to say we need to dispose of the first motion before we start
Oh,
mentioning
okay.
the other stuff.
Okay.
So, if there is no interest in a second, then the first motion will die for lack of a second.
Okay.
Okay? That first motion is no longer on the floor. So at this point, Madam Attorney, should I take up Donna's conversation or Lourdes' conversation?
However you want to handle it.
I just have
Okay.
a question.
Yes.
Can we regulate where, I mean, I haven't, I think that, three poles are great, but then it depends on how they're spaced and how they're placed in front of the, I know we have a regulation as to how far in front, but how are they spaced?
I have
And
an
can we
idea.
regulate that?
I have an idea. If the applicant is still not present, who's in, well, I can't make a motion, but maybe we would all be in favor of continuing this until the next meeting.
I think
think
I
we
would,
have a lot
I
of
would place a
questions.
motion
We don't know
to do
enough.
that.
All right.
Second.
Well, someone has to make that, I'm not the.
I'll
She
Oh,
make
you
a
did, okay,
motion.
Lourdes did. Okay, Lourdes motion that we continue this to the February, do I need the February DRB meeting?
Karen, do you know it?
I think it's the 4th, I think.
And Tim, can I clarify that
February the
code
2nd.
allows one
Second.
flagpole with the American flag on at any development? Is that accurate?
Yes. And
Yeah.
like I said, elsewhere, it can go up to
Concerned about the
50
American
feet.
flag.
No, we're
That's
not,
already allowed.
not even the
Two
state
additional-
flag.
Yeah.
It's just
The two additional.
the
Well-
amount of
Well,
flags
not
on the
this,
pole.
that you
and
can fly the
placement.
American flag and the state of Florida flag on the same pole, and in fact, you could put the Walton County, South Walton flag on that pole, if you get permission for that one.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to continue this item to the February 2nd DRB meeting. Any further discussion? Do I need to entertain public comment on the continuance?
Yes, if there is any.
Is there any members of the public wishing to address this item? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tim. Brings up item 2, Culver's Restaurant building sign. And this is also Tim Brown.
Yes. This is a request for, well, let me back up a little bit. They asked for 2 signs, east facing and south facing. The south facing sign's facing 98. So I informed them that you cannot have the east facing sign. You're not on a corner, so you can only do the south facing sign. So I've been working with them, and they have a new proposal that is in compliance. What they've submitted was not. The question now is they're not here. They don't have a representative, so do you want to move forward or do you want to continue it? Because if you have any questions, no one's here to answer them. They informed me about a half hour ago that no one was going to be coming to the meeting.
I second.
Both items on the agenda involved.
They're both
I
complicated.
second.
Okay, and just so we have a motion and a second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great, that was Tom motion and Lourdes second, okay, great. Any discussion? Any member of the public wish to address this item? Okay, I have one question, and I may have missed something in the conversation. Is there a particular reason, Tom, if it's not inappropriate for me to ask, why you want to continue rather than consider denying this? Are we expecting there to be some new information?
That's what Tim
Well, he
Oh,
said
Tim
they
has said,
haven't been
okay, I'm
new
sorry, I was busy trying
You
to.
can't
think
ask any
that they were
questions.
going.
I do have new information on the building sign, but not on the monument sign. I've been working with them, but they still haven't got it right. They still haven't provided me anything that's in compliance.
The monument?
Yes,
But
but
so
they,
did
but they
you
reduced
indicate
the
you think
bill.
they're going to get there eventually?
Yes,
Okay, all right, great, that's all I needed to hear. Yeah, okay, fantastic.
but they did reduce the building sign substantially. It went from 47 square feet to just under 9 square feet.
Okay.
So
fantastic. All
the
right.
new proposal completely complies
Hmm.
with code?
For the building
For the
sign. Hmm.
Okay, great, yeah, all right, that makes sense then. Okay, in that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I guess we couldn't do 2 of those at the same time, so
Yeah,
we
so
good?
I believe Tom's motion was to continue items 2 and 3.
Okay, if that's cool, then we can, okay. Great, in that case, item number 4, Alvin's Island Monument Sign. Tim Brown.
On this one, I need to recuse myself.
Okay. Do you need a form?
I need a form.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Karen, do you have any forms with you?
Okay, this is a request for a monument sign measuring 6 feet by 10 feet for a total of 60 square feet with a future land use of Coastal Center. It's located at 10271 US Highway 98 West. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's down next to Dollar General near Casino Gulf Drive. I've also been working with trying to work with the applicant, but the sign person is in Miami. And the person that's the applicant is local. So the following deficiencies are noted for this application. The sign area cannot be determined from the sign graphic. They don't really give any dimensions. So I really can't figure out exactly the size. The site plan indicates the sign is located in the DOT right-of-way. It's not on the private property. It's out in the right-of-way. The sign graphic indicates that it's internally lit, which is not allowed under our code. And the information for the height of the 911 address was not provided. So this application as presented is not in compliance with this US Highway 98 scenic corridor requirements. I'll answer any questions.
Jim, in the same spirit of the Culver's effort, do you perceive that at some point, working with these folks, they will get it in compliance?
I have not been able to contact the sign person. The local gentleman, he provided me the number, but it's the wrong number. So I emailed him and said, this is not the right number. I'm unable to contact this gentleman. So I have not had any workings with them to get this in compliance. So I can't say one. I want to say yes, but I don't know.
Okay. I hate for the applicant to lose their application fee and have to go through the process again if it's this contractor. So
Yeah, the actual
candidate to be continued.
The actual applicant is an electrical contractor. You can see it's Buck's Electrical Contractor. He's not a sign guy. The sign guy's in Miami, and like I say, I've been unable to contact them. But I emailed them, all of this information. They have it. They're aware of it, but they did not contact me to say, hey, how do we fix it? How do we get it into compliance?
Okay. Well, anybody want to make a motion?
And I don't know if the applicant is here or not.
Is the applicant present? Okay. Okay.
So our only two choices are to deny or continue in hopes that we'll get more information.
Well, I think continuing would be the
Continuing
fair
pretty
thing to
important.
do, yeah.
I'll move to continue. I'm fine with that till the
Second.
February meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, we motioned and Tom seconded. Do we have any further comment or discussion? Any comment from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, and that was, to clarify, that was continued to the February 2nd meeting. Okay, next item up is the Village Door at Seascape Amendment, and this is being reviewed by Tim Brown, and I believe the staff recommendation is for this to be continued.
Yes, we had a
5 for 5.
we had an advertising snafu. It has to be re-advertised, so we're requesting that it be continued to the February meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Tom and properly seconded by Lee. Do we have any further discussion on the board? Any comments from the public?
February 2nd.
In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to the last item, Point Washington Apartments entrance, being reviewed by Bob Bronte.
Good evening. As you see in your packet, this is for the Point Washington Apartments entrance only. The future land use of just that piece of the parcel is neighborhood infill. You'll see on your inserts that there is showing a sign location, but the sign will be done with a different application at a different meeting. So this application pertains only for the entrance landscaping. Mr. Pope is here, the representative, and he will gladly answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, Mr. Pope, do you have any sort of presentation?
I do.
We can't hear you. If we're supposed to, we can't hear you.
You can't hear us up
Can you hear
here?
us, or, okay. Is that better? Better?
David, you might have to push the button and.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not often accused of being too quiet, so. Okay, Mr. Pope, yes, if you would.
Bill Hope, 118 New Martine, Florida. The area that we're talking about, this is 331 right here. The area that we're discussing is in the circle right here. The rest of this is the apartment complex, which is under construction at this point. That's a blow up, but it's not much better than what it should be. The area we're talking about, this being 331 right here, and we're talking about a wall, a monument, and a wall right here. And this is landscaping in those areas. We're not asking for sign approval tonight, just for the wall. A view from 331 shows the wall right here, the wall right there, and the middle island monument. That's just a rendered plan. And there's what we're asking for landscaping. The wall itself is just white. We submitted a sample of the white, it's white basically. And then eventually the letters will be black when we come back for approval on that. And there is a plaque here that will ask for approval at the same time with our sign approval. Simple, straightforward.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Bob, do you have anything to add at this point?
No, sir, other than staff recommends approval.
Okay. I note in the staff packet, the recommendation is a motion to approve the Point Washington Apartments minor development order pending resolution of all outstanding issues and comments. And I'm wondering, is this, this is the cover sheet for the TRC. So all of those comments at this point have been addressed?
They are working on those now. So with your approval, your approval will be met, and then they will satisfy my TRC requirements. Then the minor development order will then be issued.
Okay. So, Madam Attorney,
they were all minor comments. I believe there was like maybe 3 or 4 comments, and the applicant was working with the reviewing agencies to make them into compliance.
Okay. Madam Attorney, one of the comments, okay. One of the comments in the TRC packet concerned me, and I want to make sure that it's appropriate. Is that a consideration that we should have properly before us?
Well, sorry, I guess it's not turned on. So it's my understanding that this is just an application to approve the apartment entrance.
Okay.
That the approval of the project is dealt with a separate minor development order,
Yeah.
which is not before you guys.
Okay.
So if it's a comment that deals with the minor development order, then it wouldn't be proper for you guys to consider.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are we dealing with hardscape only, or are we dealing with hardscape and plant matter?
I think that's a question.
Okay.
So,
And in the staffing of this, has the staff gone through and checked off the plant matter and it represents everything that's required by code?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
that's what my question, because I noticed also a comment in the TRC memo that said that there was no plant legend, so the staff couldn't, so y'all
There
got
is-
that?
We'll resolve back at, we need this approval to go along with conjunction of that approval. We conditionally approved that the technical review committee, their application, pending satisfaction to me that their comments are addressed. So we moved this over for your review while he's working on my final comments. He will not get a development order unless the comments are all satisfactorily addressed.
Bob, is there a landscape plan, I guess, in the board's packet?
Yes, there is a tree planting.
There's a landscape plan for the entire project, of which that section is a small piece of it, but the quantification of the items, is it not part of the whole? When we get down to quantities, Bill, is that?
Two things. One is that, yes, this has been approved twice, but the TRC originally, when the project went through, approved the landscape plan, and met all the kind of standards. Then we reintroduced this with no changes, and the only comment that we received was that we needed a plant list. We have supplied that to make sure that the plant list complies. So that's, the other two comments were very simple. One was, we didn't have title page for the project.
Right.
In terms of the wind. Also, we had Sandy Sanchez Fire Department wanted to make sure that he could get his largest truck in here without bumping this island. We moved the island back and strike this part, and we reached agreement with him. So
Okay, great. I didn't want to introduce that was my concern, that we were approving a part of the project that it appeared the fire department had a problem with.
answered all those comments.
Great, okay. And
And
Bob, is that,
I will, in a short matter, receive the clear comments from them, and then I will notify the developer to submit the final sets for the DO. So it's not gonna, those issues aren't gonna be forgotten. The matter with the planting was more for the development order inspector. When he goes out, it's sometimes difficult to pinpoint little dots. So we were trying to make it clear for him so he could truly go, when he goes out and inspects, he can make, like, pun, apples to apples and say, yeah, we're good to go. And we met with the applicant and he's gonna refine it. So they were just very minor comments.
So I guess the plan for the entrance meets the requirements of the scenic corridor guidelines for landscaping?
Yes.
Okay.
It was included in your in the checklist in the application.
Well, the thing, I mean, I don't want to over-belabor this, but the thing is, my checklist only has one box checked about landscaping, and it's irrigation, that there's irrigation.
Right.
So we're just used to seeing
The
more detailed-
fully developed landscape plan
But
with,
it's not for the fully developed.
No, he means for that.
for that section.
Yeah, I understand, but what pertained to this checklist that was being submitted has been checked. But there's only very limited sections that would pertain to this area.
Well, they have to bring that back before us then, so that we will approve the landscape on this portion of it?
Well, that's what we were doing today.
You're asking us to approve this without the landscape plan,
I mean,
But
it's
the
not
landscape
visible.
plan is submitted
Is
in your
that-
inserts.
okay.
Everything is
Yeah, it's-
included in the inside.
the plant list is, unfortunately for whatever reason, mine is loading upside down, so.
Mine's not loading at
Okay.
all.
So there is a full-blown plant list. It's an extensive list, and as far as I've reviewed it, it appears to contain the proper types of plants. It's for the whole project, and I don't know if there's a little bit of a communication issue here, but one of the things that we're concerned with is the type of plants, the location of plants, and the numbers of plants. And,
They all meet those requirements.
okay, for the entire project.
Inside.
But we're not reviewing the plant schedule for the whole project. We're only looking at this 2 point.
I think what everybody's trying to ask is, can we view that as, that's our only piece that we're responsible for, is what's at the entrance at 331. Can that have its own plant list and plan? I see a big dash line around it, so when I blow that up on my computer so I can begin to see the detail, I can't then read what numbers are there. So I don't know if we got pine trees out there, palm trees out there, blue gums, or what.
Well, it does, actually, at the very, toward the top end, and my computer's now frozen, but toward the top end of the project, or the packet of drawings, there is a drawing that uses the keynotes to describe what the plants are.
Symbology, yes.
Yeah, and so.
They've all been checked and they're all in compliance and the number
Yeah.
complies with what.
I don't have any problem with the hardscape.
Mr. Pope, do you
Yeah,
have that on your?
We've all numbered all the plants up front.
Yes, that's the drawing I was looking at a second
See it
ago.
on our
Yeah.
drawing.
It's very clear when you have a full-size set.
Yeah.
And then we also have a plant list that we submitted that corresponds with those numbers.
Would you guys like to look at his large pictures? Would that be helpful?
It is in the packet connected to the agenda. It's the, I think the third.
Oh, there's a color.
Yeah, I was able to zoom in, but I've done something when I turned my computer upside down, it froze.
Yep, same here. Oh, you guys are on that issue too?
It's real
The
slow.
drawings get upside down?
I think we have just a computer tablet issue.
Well, I don't know, mine's angry.
No, it's just going.
Okay, so,
This is the plant list.
Okay,
yes, absolutely.
I see that, and that
Okay.
doesn't tell me any
That
Okay.
plant
list-
names.
That plant list is sheet LS507. It's towards the middle of your packet, and it clearly has the quality, the keys, and common names and the scientific names of plants.
In the entire development.
LS
And
501.
including the part that, there's only one little section that hasn't been approved. It's the front section of the overall master plan. So you can't really, just like we called it the 29 plus acres, because it's one parcel, it just so happens that this parcel is, this piece is the only piece that would concern the court.
It's the only piece in the corner.
But what I'm looking at on mine, it says see landscape plan, and I'm looking for the landscape plan, and I don't see it anywhere.
And you said, what was the sheet number that
It's,
you were
it's a,
saying?
LS507.
it's not in that
It's
PDF.
not in that one.
It's in the
I have
agenda, it's a
501,
it's a
but I
separate,
don't have
It's a 17-page.
Yes.
it's,
Thank you. Here, I think Bob is providing me with the plan, so we can,
Okay,
you guys can look at it.
Okay.
Yep, that one.
Well, that's it, okay.
If I may, it's also including the details, the large plans, details on LS 102. There are the plans right there.
Can I go?
Yes, you're welcome to.
Okay, if I could, I know sometimes we will make motions and then invite the public comment. That is a little awkward. So I'm going to, if it's okay with the rest of the board, invite public comment while he's checking that drawing out. Is it appropriate?
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
Sir, with your hand up, if you could come up and be sure to introduce yourself and spell your name for the record, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kramer. Mr. Pope, I'm sorry, that's the applicant's name, right?
Mr. Pope.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's fine for the board members to look at the drawing, but if we're gonna have any conversations, we'll have to do it at the podium. I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is David Kramer, and I'm an affected owner within 300 feet of this project. My address is 84 Burgo Street, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 32459. Myself and other owners in the affected area have currently a request with the zoning board of adjustment to rescind the permits for this project. And they are being held with in collusion or in cooperation with the developer. We have extended the hearing times for that twice now, and we've extended the last one until the March meeting, which is, I'm not sure the date exactly at this time. What I and the other owners, or two of the owners who have actually put the request to rescind the permitting for this project, we won't get into the details of that because that's for another board to concern themselves with. But however, the reason I would request that this be continued was the understanding of myself with a personal conversation with the developer, that they would move forward on other issues until they resolve this program, the problem they had with the development that we brought the request for a hearing to the zoning board of adjustment. This would, in fact, violate that verbal agreement that I have with them. And in my legal opinion, which I'm not a judge or an attorney, but it would be in my opinion that this would add fuel to a case for estoppel if any more of this, if any more permitting by the county is allowed in this project, while the other cases, which is about the whole permitting for the project, would be, right now you're looking at approving or denying or continuing pieces of the project. The whole project's what the zoning board of adjustment we're looking at right now because the permitting was obtained under what we believe is falsehood. But I would ask you for our advice to your council or the county's council or staff that you continue this because we feel that it could be an estoppel issue if you approve it and move it forward. And our hearing comes up and we continued it twice. We hope that in good faith we'll resolve all those issues and get the alternative to what they want to do resolved for myself and the neighbors who will probably hear from as well. So, to be a little more concise, it's just a simple request that you continue this until after the next, or until this project is heard at the zoning board of adjustment in March. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate.
Thank you. Do you have other members of the public that wish to speak? Or Mac?
Specifically to Mr. Kramer's comments, we have an appeal of an administrative decision related to the issuance of building permits. There is no appeal of this building. It's the appeal of building permits that were subsequently issued, authorized by the developer. That's what's being appealed. It's my understanding that will be heard next month at the zoning board of adjustment. So it's a 60-day request for continuance. That doesn't have any bearing on what we're here to do tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Mac. Do you have other members of the public that wish to comment? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Chris Sennett. I'm 449 James Lane in South Beach, and I own a couple properties on that road that's affected by the development. First of all, good evening, and I thank you for the time to hear our opinions. There are many concerns in the assembly, and maybe some of the people will step up and voice them as well, because I've not heard of them. And I just want to reflect on some of the things I have observed directly. First of all, I don't think we've all been privy to the continuous developments shaping up with this project. There's times when we're not given the courtesy of a return receipt in the mail to inform us of town meeting variances. Initially, we were told that this high complex would not intrude the peace, quiet, and soul enjoyed. To begin with, Rostar insisted there would be plenty of buffers and green zones to distance themselves from the neighbors. And I can show you a couple pictures here, taken from my yard, and you'll see there's no buffer or no green zone. And apparently when I asked the construction company, they're telling me that there was no plan, no such plan to erect any of those promised. As the area is being, I'd like to pass this around if you want to verify it.
Would you like to introduce that into the record?
I'm sorry?
Would you like us to keep it as part of the record?
Sure.
Okay.
As the area's been just literally mowed down by its onslaught of equipment and machinery, we have seen a large number of displaced animals such as deer, owls, foxes, raccoons, turtles, bald eagles, and a variety of other birds looking for shelter. I know I understand the desire of the Rostar in developing their land, but at a cost, what cost to the environment? Not to mention that a lot of this vegetation, in addition to providing shelter for the animals, allow for the absorption of the rain and runoff. I can tell you this, my yard is now a solid pool of water when there's good rain. When a lot of this vegetation is not able to dissipate the flow of the water, not to mention that the elevated ground necessary to erect this building actually created a little moat that will not let the water run off as well. Now, since the project begun, a lot of the neighbors have endured a constant battle of nuisances. The noise level, the roar of machinery at times outside of the hours mandated by the code enforcement, pumps running 24/7. And as recently as 2 nights ago, on my daughter's first day back to school from the holidays, we were jolted awake right before 3 a.m. with floodlights in our windows, men shouting, heavy machinery equipment, loud horns, warning signals, and more loud noises that never stopped until morning. Needless to say, none of us slept that night. I should also mention the constant shaking and rattling of the ground, disruption of utilities, such as power and water at various intervals, at times accidental, the mauling of our deeded access, the trees and roots taken out of the dirt to block access, the smoke filling the air as trees and branches are being burned. Now, we noticed that the apartment complex has been renamed from Walton Apartments to Sanctuary on 331. I can tell you this, that while this used to be a beautiful sanctuary, this has now turned into a horrible nightmare. I asked the panel assembled here to please consider the peace and quiet acquired by longtime residents in this area before the project started. It's one thing to move next to an airport and complain about the noise. It's another to choose to live in a beautiful place and to have an airport move right next to you. In this instance, phase 1 of the project is beginning with 264 apartments. I ask you please mandate Rostar to erect the noise and green buffers as initially promised. Lastly, it has come to light that this complex will not access Bowman's Bayou to launch kayaks and boats and build an infrastructure for that purpose. It is our understanding that Roadstar has mitigated a large acreage of wetland in order to achieve their building plans by donating and deeding to the DEP the marshlands adjacent to Bowman's Bayou, with the specific condition that no building or pier or any other kind of structure could be built or fixed in this portion as stated in the deed. The boat launch would contradict and defy the purpose of the wetland mitigation. On the last note, and while this may be a matter for the DOT, our access to 331 is a dangerous ordeal. Since the traffic light is not in line with Chow Holly, in order to go southbound, we have to cross all lanes and attempt to make a U-turn at the light. I sat there for 10 minutes at the intersection, hoping that the southbound traffic lightens up and avoid cars also turning from Chow Holly in order to proceed. It's very dangerous, and I can only imagine what 664 apartments leaving at the same time and same hour in the morning will create. This needs to be remedied before something great happens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other members of the public that wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a couple clarifications.
Okay, do they have to do with the comments just made?
Yes.
Thank you.
The affidavit was signed and notarized that all affected areas were notified by certified mail. So the notification for the 300 feet went out. The other comments being addressed are for the overall site plan that's not issued today. Today's issue is the entrance landscaping only, not the other. And some of those issues would be considered code violations that if they notify code will follow up on those.
Okay, have you, or could you now provide instruction to the audience on how to go about doing that, contact information or?
Sure. You call the
yeah. The number is 622-0000 if you have a code complaint.
Well, I think the sheriff department actually handles the code complaint and
Okay.
not code enforcement.
Okay.
So that's all I'd like to
Okay,
point
thank you.
out that they were notified.
Thank
What
you.
about the green zone? That's what we all want to know.
Sir, we're going to take turns and try to keep this orderly. I believe another individual put their hand up for comment. Yes, sir. Could you come forward, please?
My name is Eric Johnson, and my family owns the east end of that block that runs down Bay Magnolia, Fix Right. Cedar is the back straight away. We've gone from one side to the other. Buddy Rupp is the project manager, I guess, for the road. We had a meeting with him, and they're talking about repaving all of that. But they said they didn't think they were going to repave the backside of it, which I said, you know, it's been here for years. Why not? He said, well, there's some issues with it. Do you have any idea what those issues may be?
Sir, so Buddy Wright works in the Walton County Public Works Department. And this board wouldn't have any knowledge of Mr. Wright's doings, but I'd be happy to try to answer your questions.
He's a surveyor, and I talked to them.
Mm-hmm.
He said the same thing, that they want to change that road. And
Right.
I asked him that road.
Right, I understand. After the meeting, I can try to answer your questions, but this board is just deciding about the entrance to the project.
Okay, and so you can.
I'll try my best,
Yeah.
and if not, I can get you in.
March or whatever, Mr. Crandall was talking about, there's going to be another meeting in March, that they're going to address some issues such as that.
Yes, at the Zoning Board of Adjustment. I'm not sure if it's in February or March.
All right,
Okay.
and I would like to second what Chris just said, that I'm going to understand they're going to develop this, but it is hard to get out of there, and traffic's going to change a lot. And, I mean, we just want to have some input, and I got no notice about any of this, and we own a big chunk of it. So, that's my comments.
Okay.
And I'll
Thank
get up with you. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell that man to turn around and tell us something, this man? You said turn around. and-
No, I asked that he clarify the information about the number to call for code enforcement. Just anytime a member of the public indicates they have a problem contacting any member of the county, I just try to make sure that that information is provided. So.
We all said no to something because it sounded like he said we had all been informed. Nobody got a letter.
Yeah.
And that's what was being
Yep.
discussed.
Madam Attorney, could you?
And part of the issue with the notification for this project, ma'am, might be that we're just dealing with the entrance located on 331. So the applicant would have only been required to notify anyone within 300 feet of that entrance, not of the entire project. So this board is only considering the entrance to the project, not the entire project. So unless your property is within 300 feet of that entrance on 331, you would not have received notification of tonight's meeting.
We have got letters before from this board when it was across the bayou.
May I add something?
Sure.
Yes, we, according to what we have to notify, is 300 feet from the perimeter of the property or from the 400-foot setback line. I have purposely drawn this black. That's the notification zone, and that's what we pulled up on the county.
Yes, sir.
And there's probably 9 people that got notified. We were not obligated to notify this group or any of this group in this case. So that's how we did it.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
It might be helpful to explain this board's purview and role
Yes. Yeah.
to the audience. And then number 2, I would like your opinion. Mac has given an opinion. I'd like your opinion, if you have enough information, to make it on Mr. Kramer's assertion that us approving this part of the project impacts or could impact the zoning board issue negatively.
Sure. So I guess for the audience's sake, you guys are more than welcome to participate, and we will take public comment on any item. But it is important to know that this is the Design Review Board. They review projects along 331 south of the Bay and US 98, and they only review projects for their aesthetic value and compliance with the scenic corridor guidelines. So they sorry, just one second, ma'am. So they don't really have the responsibility or the authority to review projects on a larger scale that would address some of the complaints that you guys have. But we're more than happy to take public comment. It's just this board in their role is very limited in what they can do.
Well, all I was going to say, the sign that said come to this meeting was at the entrance, and it didn't say just for flowers.
Yes, ma'am, and that's a very good point. So I probably should have pointed that out sooner, so I apologize. But so this board is reviewing the entrance to the project and looking at the landscaping and then the materials for the signs that would be placed there later.
We lost our landscape, and they came down and just went through
I
the
understand.
big old giant size things and knocked everything down. We didn't even know they were coming, didn't know what was going on.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. And then I guess to address Lee's other question, so I agree with Mac. I do not think that your approval of this small aspect of the project will in any way hinder the case that's going before the Zoning Board of Adjustment. I'm sure that the applicant is well aware that if they lose at the Zoning Board of Adjustment and decide to go get approval from you guys tonight on the entrance, if they put that entrance out there and it's later reversed at the Zoning Board of Adjustment, they're doing that on their own with no assurances from the county. That the project will be approved later. So.
Okay, do any members of the board have any other questions of staff or the applicant?
I have a concern that it's within our purview to respond to the hardscape, which I don't have any problem with, and it's within our purview to respond to the landscape. And I'm sorry, I must be blind, but I'm having a large difficulty reading what landscaping is in that entrance. And I don't know if a separate plant list that could be provided or a greater scale drawing that could be provided, would help, but I'm having a problem there.
Tom, I mean, this is the drawing that I'm looking at on my computer is one of the drawings that was presented, but it's sheet LS102, and there is a depiction of the configuration of the wall and I guess you call it the sign base, and there is a depiction of the plant material that is planted in that vicinity, and it has, for the most part, it looks like you can determine, it would appear to me sufficient for the staff to count the number of plants and to verify their size. I mean, as an example, it depicts 3 4-inch caliper oak trees which I believe is the criteria. It looks like there are, and again, if I turn this upside down, I'm worried my computer's going to freeze again, but
Mr. Waldrop, would it help if you, I guess if Mr. Pope brought his depiction closer?
No, I think the best question I can
the
ask now,
Hollies.
again, is of staff, and that staff is assuring the board that it meets all of the plant numbers and size requirements for, that would be required at that entrance for that size project.
Yes, sir, because I wouldn't make a recommendation for approval if it did.
Okay, so that's,
okay.
I've got that.
I'm going to make one observation, and it was one that had to do. It was confusing to have the December 7th TRC packet with its comments in our packet. If these comments have been addressed, I came into this meeting having read these with a very different idea of what was going to happen tonight than what I heard.
I'm not quite sure why the TRC comments are in that packet, because it was done as a separate report. So I don't know if administrative staff traditionally for DRB put when there's a TRC agenda in it that's associated with it, but those issues are either have been addressed or are being currently addressed. And like I said before, the DO will not be signed by the director until everything is 100% canceled out to my satisfaction that they did it.
Okay.
And I assure you that I'm not going to let go forward until I get a zeroed out staff report.
Okay. I'm just making sure that the basis of any action by this committee is based on the current information. So that's, I guess we've reached the point at which we need a motion of one sort or another.
And David, can I just tag on to what you just said and make a suggestion to staff that I think one of the points of confusion as part of what David just said is that we didn't have a staff memo in the packet other than that one. And normally we get a staff memo that details the description, or at least I couldn't find it.
It was the front page. The staff memo was PDF. Then
I can't pull it up.
Been uploaded with your package.
The first thing I saw was the TRC.
Printed right off the same thing.
Did y'all get a regular DRB
Yeah,
staff
that's
memo?
I'm looking at it now. Okay, and I don't want to belabor this.
I apologize if it was an error. But
It's no big deal. I'm just saying going forward, if it wasn't provided, maybe it was, but I couldn't find it this afternoon.
We're all figuring out the use of technology for this board.
Yes, this is a new system.
I understand, but there was a whole complete package. Your checklist was included and your inserts and the cover memo. But if it's not, then that's my responsibility.
We don't have.
That, I think
Okay.
that
don't
would
have a
help.
cover sheet.
Yeah.
We do have a
Mac,
check
do you have
sheet.
further comments?
Matt Carpenter for the planning department. It appears that some of you, at least electronically, may have gotten the wrong PDF as a staff report.
That's
Okay.
what it looks like to
TRC
me.
staff report instead of the DRB staff report.
Okay.
In my printed book, I have the right set of documents.
Okay, I think we got it.
And it's a simple one page that says this meets the requirements.
This is what.
Yeah, you did not get the right one, and I apologize for that, and I'll take the
Well,
responsibility.
if I could then, and sir, with your hand up, I'll recognize you in just a second. Thank you. Madam Attorney, just my understanding of this board is that we take into account all of the information presented to us at the meeting. And since staff is assuring us of the thing, regardless of what the printed material or the electronic material we receive, we can rely on the staff's assurances. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the applicants as well.
Okay. Okay. And in that case, since we haven't got a motion on the floor, I'm going to invite this gentleman who had his hand up to speak one more time, but I'd encourage members of the board to think about the motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I enter the staff report for the DRB into the record?
Certainly, that would be
so we have
fantastic. Thank
that?
you. Yeah. Would you mind, Mac, would you mind reading its recommendation?
Sure. This is dated January 5 to the Design Review Board from Bob Morante. Application submitted by William Pope. It provides the location, the parcel ID. This is a minor development order.
application consisting of an entrance landscape for the Point Washington Apartments with the future land use and neighborhood infill. Based on the information that was provided, the proposed project meets the minimum technical requirements of the U.S. 98, U.S. 331 Scenic Corridor Design Standards contained in Chapter 13 of the Walton County Land Development Code.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Kramer.
Thank you, sir. I just had a procedural question again. I wanted to know if Colleen has recused herself from this project.
I will.
Yeah, you previously worked for these developers, and I don't know why you haven't already done that.
I
have letters from her.
I just didn't think about it because I
regarding this.
haven't been involved with the project for so long.
Well, I appreciate that she doesn't have any input, and she should have recused herself already.
Well, I'll let the Madam Attorney determine whether she should or should not have recused herself.
I don't have a problem with recusing myself. I don't represent the developer at this point. I have not in many years. So, but I have represented them before on this project, so it would be appropriate for me not to have input. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the staff report. If Lee, you want to take a peek at it? Yeah.
Probably not get confused about it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The staff report is fairly clear that all of the conditions of the design review board are met. So.
Can I ask a question?
Okay. Since we still don't have a motion, I guess that's appropriate. Yes, ma'am. Please. Would you mind coming forward?
Another sign out there saying when the residents can meet with the Walton County Board of Commissioners? That's what we thought we were coming to tonight.
I'm sorry, I apologize for that, ma'am. I don't believe that this project will be heard by the Walton County Board of County Commissioners because I think, as Mr. Carpenter said, a development order has already been issued. It will be heard.
How did they issue it without, like I said, that notice to the people that live there? We've had notices on everything except this.
Okay. Well, and I'm sorry for that, but I do know that there's going to be a zoning board of adjustment hearing in February. Can you give me the date, Karen?
It's going to be in March, wherever the March meeting is.
February 23rd.
Well, does anyone keep a record of
Yes, ma'am.
when
I
it's
can
sent?
speak directly to this. This
Uh-huh.
project came before the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners, first conceptually in 2008, and then there's a technical in the 2008, 2012, 2010, 2012 timeframe.
Mhm.
I don't have those exact dates in front of me, but it went all the way through the Board of County Commissioners. The only thing that did not go was the approval for the entrance. in the city
But
for the
where
US
is that ruling? Why have we always been informed? No
ma'am.
one.
We had lots of folks at the hearings,
Well,
and they were held right in this room.
okay, but look at all the people sitting here. We're in it.
We have
I don't know. I
Get you
wish you would.
copies of the
I
report.
would like it. No, I would like a copy of the letters, who it was sent to.
We can give you that.
Okay. That would be
Those are
great.
available as a public record.
Okay, because we do attend, but we're informed, like I said, we only saw that sign recently.
Yes, ma'am, because the project had been approved a
Mm-hmm.
few years before.
Yeah, but we still lived here. We've been living here a long time.
Yes, ma'am. But
One
we
other
have-
question.
We have those records, and we'd be
Okay.
happy to get them.
The name has been changed, hadn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, they have a different fictitious name that's different than the name of the...
Ma'am, and I'm sorry to interrupt. If you have any other comments about what this board's considering,
Oh, no.
we'll gladly. Okay. If not, Mac, if you could answer questions later.
Okay, we've got to dispose of this project. We can approve it, continue it, or deny it. And there's probably gray areas in between each of those, but we're looking at the entrance to this project. The staff has reviewed it and assured us that the entrance, landscaping, and hardscape meets the criteria that we're responsible for reviewing.
Do we know if this has met the requirements of the new plants that we have recently instituted in the...
I don't know that it has, but are those in effect
I'm sorry.
Donald's question was, did the staff review this against the new plant list?
It depends. So you guys made changes after our workshops. So those changes, depending on when this application was filed, those would be in effect. But there's additional changes that we're going to make. Those aren't final and won't be final for another couple of months.
But some of the changes have been made?
Yes.
Okay, and is this incorporate those changes?
It should, so long as this application was filed after those changes became effective, which I think would have been May of last year. May of 2016.
Yeah, the date on the staff memo is January 5. The date on the drawings we were looking at, I believe, was December 20th, 2016. Sorry, I closed it.
Bob, do you know when they filed
Yes.
their application?
Well, they just filed in December, or late November. I don't have the exact date, but the current land development code was used, and my code is updated. So the changes were all inclusive.
Okay.
The ones that were adopted.
I think some got adopted and some did not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the date on the drawing that actually calls out the plant list looks like September 15, 2014.
Because those were the overall plans that he had already approved, and then the developer added the entrance to the overall site plan.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying is that the drawing has a date of 2014, so I can see why Donna asked her question. That
I have another question for staff. I'm probably missing something, but when I'm looking at the checklist, the staff checklist, 13.03.03.01, tree planting requirements within the scenic corridor, that entire section says NA. Is there something about the entrance of the project that made those requirements not applicable?
Well, because when we went through it, that was including things that would have been the overall scheme that's already been approved, minus the entranceway. So the check marks, well, the whole check system was reviewed, but the check marks made were the ones that staff felt dealt directly with the entranceway. But I assure you, it meets the requirements for the entranceway.
Okay, it just looks like some of that is dealing with the frontage along 98 or 331, which this only frontage that this has is that little entrance. So we're just operating a little bit blindly.
I'm gonna try a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the hardscape portion of this application and continue the landscape portion.
A second.
okay. Karen, did you capture that?
Can I make a comment since we have a motion?
We have a motion and it's properly seconded. Yes, sir.
Upon dealing with the continuation of the plant material that would follow for the landscape portion, I would suggest to the applicant and to staff that this board receive an adequate planting plan that we can see, feel, and touch, or it can be viewed or broken out, however you want to put it, so we can see it along with a planting plan or a plant list that is geared specifically to the entrance and nothing else.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. And I just tack on to that, it would be helpful to have an up-to-date staff report. It doesn't have to be exotic, but I agree with Lee. The one that we're looking at does have almost all of the criteria that we're concerned with, has NA.
Okay, but like I said, it was reviewed and the staff felt that the sections, but we will re-review it.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so we have a motion that was properly seconded. Do we have any other comment from the board? Any further comment from the audience?
Just one question.
Sir.
Who will approve the plant list and the guys for the entrance planning. Is that something staff does, or do we come back before this board?
You come back before this board.
And the staff tells you it's okay, who's gonna tell you it's okay?
The staff will give a recommendation based on just that section, and if that's already been done, it'll be repeated again to us.
It's already been done.
But all we're doing now, based on the quality of drawings I've seen, is I'm relying on this gentleman.
It's very hard to show on an 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17, the detail that we have. So we'll submit to the board, we'll submit a 24 by 36.
That'd be great. I'm just asking so we can see. We've never had this problem since I've been on this board for 2 years.
And I think more importantly is getting a plant list that is just applicable to that section.
That area.
No, we agree with that.
It's
but
because
my
there's a
question
huge
was
plant
who?
list that we're trying to
So
pick out.
staff will rely on staff to approve it and recommend it to you again.
Bill, here's what we're
That
doing.
was staff's
And I can
initial-
zoom it out as much as I can, and I can't make out what plants are in
It's
it.
blurry.
I agree.
What you see in that square was staff's request to focus just on that. But to meet the deadlines for this meeting, I could not get what I wanted. So it would, because it was difficult for us. I mean, the other pieces don't apply. We needed to focus clearly, and I will assure you, by the next time, it will be clear, and I will have my list.
Very good. All right, I think we've reached an appropriate point to vote on this. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've got Mac's staff report right here, I believe. So, okay, do we have any other items to come before this board? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Well, yeah. Oh, Bob, yeah, don't,